PUV strike intensified. DepEd inmates umatras at Miss Nicaragua nagwagi na. Kumsa for me. This is Avor Joseph and welcome to I Deem Worthy Recap Weekly Edition number 26. We have tons and tons to cover for the 4th week of November 2023. So skip to the timestamps provided if it piques your interest. Kahit maganda lang for the blazing selective summation. Here are some PH News commentary for your convenience. Nonstop PUV transport strikes. Nagkaroon ng transport strike o tigil pasada sa buong ika-4 na linggo ng Nobyembre na pinamunuan ng transport group na Piston o pagkakaisa ng mga samahan ng tsuper at operator nationwide hanggang Wednesday na sinundan naman ng manibela o malayang alyansa ng bus employees at laborers from Wednesday to Friday patungkol sa konsolidasyon at pag-phase out ng mga traditional jeepneys na hindi pasok sa standard ng Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board o LTFRB na i-implementa sa ika-31 ng Desyembre 2023. The strike covered like from Piston from Monday to Wednesday, and then manibela immediately followed it up with a strike from Wednesday to Friday. So almost the entire weekdays. Umaangal ng mga transport groups sa planong pag-phase out ng mga hari ng kalsada, ang mga traditional jeepneys na hindi pasok sa standard ng LTFRB sa kontrobersyal na Public Utility Vehicle Modernization Program, citing high cost of the newer models adding burden to the isang kahig isang tukang jeepney drivers. And they postponed it like 6 years now. So I don't think there are any more leeway to be given. Pero you know, it's still a governmental agency, which means they can do whatever the fuck they want and will have no say with what goes in and out. Sinabing ang mga modern minibuses na nire-recommend as the alternatives made in China costs too much. Around 3 million pesos each at the high end and 1.5 million pesos for the lowest end according to the LTFRB. Samantalang ang ating mga jeepney drivers ay hirap makabayad ng kanilang boundary kada araw. And although I am talking about the operators that will shoulder the cost, it will still be the drivers who will be taking the punch. Not to mention yung kakarampot na 210,000 to 280,000 na subsidiya ng gobyerno per operator or at least per unit na bibilhin ng operator or ng jeepney driver or whatever cooperative na nag-consolidate as a result of this modernization program. Isa yan sa mga concern, ang mga operator na nagme-may-ari at nagpaparenta ng kanilang traditional jeepneys para sa boundary ang maapektuhan ng malala ng naturang pag-phase out ng decrepit at bulok na PUV jeeps. Pagme-may-ari nila ang mga jeeps na suddenly ay magiging obsolete starting January 2024. Though, to be fair, bihira sa isang tsuper na sila ang magme-may-ari ng kanilang minamanehong jeepney, which is in fact a crucial shame. Pero it's more in the standpoint of gagamitin lang nila yung jeepney na yun and then they'll pay for the boundary and then do whatever they want. Hindi na nila kailangan isipin yung repair cost, maintenance cost, at saka yung parking nun. So that was a plus for them. But still, hindi sila yung may hawak ng means of production nila, which in that case was the service na pinoprovide nila as the drivers sa mga ruta. I don't wanna get too deep into the dialectical materialism, pero that's basically how it goes. I approve of the jeepney modernization program dahil sa mga pasaway na tsuper, mga bulok na sasakyan na hindi lang hazard sa environment, kundi hazard rin sa aesthetic at safety ng mga mananakay at mga taong nasa kalsada, which is mostly mga tsuper at mga pasahero nila because of the open, unfiltered air emissions at yung pag-inhale ng emissions ng mga decrepit at bulok na jeepneys. I approve of the jeepney modernization program because of the implications at mga pinupush ng LTFRB tulad ng pagsisetup ng mga tsuper ng kooperatiba or corporations or whatever na binubuo ng mga jeepney drivers, not just operators, yung single-link operations. Upang hindi sila mag-unahan at mag-compete sa mga mananakay na isa sa mga dahilan kung bakit sila nagbe-break ng mga pamantayan sa lansangan. It also standardizes their salaries and even employment benefits if they're lucky. Not to mention the dreaded boundary system sa single driver to operator model na nagpa-proliferate kung saan naiuwi na lamang ng ating mga mamang tsuper ay kakarampot kapag tinanggal na yung cost ng krudo at boundary. Because even in the system of operator to jeepney driver relationship, sila pa rin magbabayad sa krudo na gagamitin nila. I don't want to antagonize the operator, the owning class, and the laborers, the drivers, kasi basically in the same vicinity, they're basically in the same class, just with different holdings. Sa kooperatiba, magkakaroon sila ng say sa mga desisyon ng consolidated cooperatives instead of individualized. Kasi kapag kooperatiba, na-democratize yung desisyon na ginagawa sa isang korporasyon o kooperatiba, as I said. Kung saan, ang mga manggagawa ang may-ari ng makinarya ng kanilang pagkita at makademokrasya ang pagdesisyon nila sa kanilang trabaho. Anything related to their work, like participating in strikes, fairs, benefits, at syempre collectivized and communalized yung responsibilities at duties ng mga jeepney drivers. Kaya I am definitely approving of the cooperative system na pinupush at yung consolidation na pinupush ng LTFRB. Kasi with a consolidated fleet, mapupush yung mga drivers to, be more mindful of how they through the lansangan, kasi nga an accident or any misguided recklessness in their driving could result into the whole operation stopping or at least pausing for a minute. Ngunit of course, ang papasa ng cost na yan ay ang ating mga jeepney drivers, pati na yung mga biyahero at parokyano ng one-in-a-kind transportation method na kailangan taasan ng boundary o lease sa mga ginagamit na jeep. Pair that with high inflation, disproportionate fare hikes at presyo ng krudo, talagang ang bilyones na subsidy ang kakailanganin para mapalitan ang nawawalang capacity o mawawalang capacity ng local transportation method ng ating mga syudad. Isa pa sa mga kritisismo ay ang soulless at bland design ng mga minibus na i-import pa galing China. Marami nagpupush na tulungan ng gobyerno ang mga lokal na industriyang aangkop sa lokal na demand ng mga modern jeepneys. At least yung aesthetics will be the same as the traditional jeepneys, just with a bit more twist. 30 to 60% I think of the fleet is already modernized and hindi naman kailangan yung may aircon and all that stuff. It is recommended, pero hindi naman yun yung main focus ng modernization program, or at least yung nakaraang transport strike proved it to be, negotiable. It's more on the makinarya at engine na ginagamit to be Euro 4 or Euro 5 compliant with regards to their engine. So at least yung aesthetics will be the same as traditional jeepneys kung ang gagawa is yung local na industriya at meron ng ganong locally made vehicles na pinoproduce, but of course with limited capacity. But yes, I approve of union work as they give bargaining power to the working class. I mean, that those that produce value in a company or any institution of money-making endeavor. Sure, it's disruptive, but that's what protests are supposed to do. Else, what does inconveniencing you does? And in this case, the bosses are the government who wants to implement sweeping changes that could potentially cripple their bottom line, the approval of the people, and crippling those relying on the income generated in this endeavor. It doesn't matter if I don't agree with what they want to accomplish. Union work is union work, and we cannot impede on that front. We have freedom of assembly. Albeit, I see their protesting as more of an overreaction kasi nga marami rin transport groups ang did not participate in this kind of disruptive transport strike kasi nga they're probably overreacting. But yeah, I do agree with some of their points. The officials from LTFRB and MMDS said the strikes did not make a difference or dent in the transportation capacity of the country. I think they said they have 680 reserved vehicles to deploy kapag nagkaroon ng crippling transportation mobilization, pero they have only deployed like 10% of the total fleet. I mean, freaking scabbers. By branding them as scabbers, we cultivate animosity inside the working driving class, which we do not want. Kasi nga kailangan natin sila bigyan ng breathing space, as in dialectical materialism. We need to cultivate a class consciousness at hindi dapat natin pinag-aaway yung people with the same cause. Kasi nga pag nagkaroon ng animosity between two sides of the same coin, the bourgeoisie or the owning class would be the only one benefiting sa squabble na ito. The scabbing isn't a huge statement with regards to the hold of the union, rather a statement on the lengths of our hardworking drivers will go to out of desperation just to break even and put food in the table. The broken system that perpetuates the misery and poverty. The reason why I even agreed to the proposal was because of their bargaining back then. I mean, it reduced the phased out vehicles from all traditional jeepneys to just those that are decrepit and literally have parts falling off the road. And that's the only goal, or at least and that's the greatest overall win we could ever achieve, along with some minor improvements sa mga existing traditional jeepneys. Although I agree they should up the loan and grants/subsidies to be given to our trooper. But this is the supposedly unintended result of boosting importation from modern jeepney manufacturing countries like China, of which the Philippines has little to none. Kaya I was pushing for the local government to have some protectionism of our local industries with regards to this kind of stuff. Kasi nga traditional and basically modern jeepneys are an essential part of the public sector and public utility vehicle in general and transportation also. Kailangan natin magkaroon ng backbone of a local industry to supply and meet the demands of the market. And yes, nire-use ko yung mga pinagsasabi ko last time na nag-strike ng grupong Manibela para sa NIDW recap number 21. Pero wala naman bagong nangyari, so I don't care. Here are some more PH news for your convenience. MiMaRoPa wage hike. Isinartipika na ang petisyon para sa daily minimum wage hike sa MiMaRoPa o Region 4B ng 40 pesos na i-implementa sa ikapito ng Disyembre ngayong taon ayon sa Department of Labor and Employment. Inaprobahan ng Regional Tripartite Wages and Productivity Board o RTWPB noong October 24 at sinang-ayunan ng National Wages and Productivity Commission nitong November 19 lamang. Ang daily minimum wage rate ng mga establishmentong may 10 o higit pang mga manggagawa ay tataas from 355 pesos to 395 pesos, samantalang ang mga establishmentong may less than 10 manggagawa ay kikita or at least kikita na ng 369 pesos. Mahigit 46,000 manggagawa ang inaasahang makikinabang sa minimum wage hike, samantalang higit 113,000 namang full-time workers na kumikita above the minimum wage ay maaari ring indirectly makinabang sa nasabing minimum wage hike. DepEd Catch-Up Fridays. Ayon sa bagong initiative ng Department of Education Secretary at Vice President SARA Duterte, kailangan mag-dedicate ang mga eskwelahan ng buong araw every Friday para sa pagbabasa simula January 12, 2024 upang mapunan ang kakulangan sa edukasyon at literacy ng mga bata sa bansa. Ang motibo ng inisyatibong ito ay para ma-boost ang kakayanan ng mga estudyanteng magbasa from kindergarten to apparently 12th grade. Pero I guess, based on my experience, siguro talagang need yung dedicated catch-up days dahil na rin sa mga competency and security, especially with the competency assessment na ginawa ng World Bank proving the education sector in the Philippines to be deficient. According to the World Bank noong 2022, 91% of Filipino children aged 10 struggled to read simple text, which is absolutely mind-boggling and quite disdain for the first year of our education secretary. But to cover some slack, time pa lang ni Secretary Briones and the whole laptop fiasco, especially with online learning, everything plummeted for mental health, learnings, and everything basically. The only thing that went up there is inflation and grade inflation. And yes, I am a beneficiary of that, but you know, inmates recant statements against the Lima. Nirecant na ng 7 inmates ang kanilang pagtestigo in a written statement addressed to, I think, the presiding judge in the Lima's case, which by the way, yung pagre-recant ng statement na ginawa ay not the only indication, or at least hindi yun yung deciding factor kung bakit binigyan ng bail si De Lima. Pero yeah, it's a good thing na nire-recant na nila yung statement nila na against, or at least that implicated De Lima on these trumped-up drug charges. Basically, nirecant nila yung statement nila in a written document sa mga pahayag nila laban sa dating senador at Justice Secretary Laila De Lima matapos makalaya on bail after 6 years at 8 months niyang pagkakakulong sa Camp Crame. Sinabi sa written statement na sila ay pinressure lamang at inimpluwensyahan ng nakaraang administrasyon ang kanilang pagtetestigo laban sa senadora. If you watched my previous NIDW recap number 25 episode, you'll get the whole picture regarding the animosity between the president and the senator. Unang nagtagpo ang kanilang landas ng imbestigahan ni Laila De Lima na dating Commission on Human Rights chairperson ang extrajudicial killing sa Davao, ang balwarte ng dating Mayor Rodrigo Duterte at ang prominent Davao Death Squad na di umano'y nagsasagawa ng assassination sa suspects ng syudad, which led to Duterte getting irate at Laila De Lima, lalo na nung siya'y naging chairperson ng Senate Committee on Justice and Human Rights noong term niya. Siya'y inalis sa posisyon ng kanyang mga kasamang mamabatas nung inimbestigahan niya ang war on drugs ng dating Pangulo at ang kanyang subsequent detention due to the trumped-up charges or drug charges at yung mga whistleblower statements which was subsequently recanted later, and most recently, itong 7 inmates na ito. Ampatuan Jr. imprisoned for 210 years. Na-convict na ng kasong graft si convicted murderer at isa sa mga pasimuno ng Maguindanao Massacre noong 2009 na nagresulta sa pagpatay ng 58 tao including 32 journalists in what some organizations branded as the world's deadliest day for journalists. I mean, not a good look for the Philippines. Sinentensyahan ng 210 taon na pagkakakulong si Andal Ampatuan Jr. for the 21 counts of grafts na mahigit 200 million fuel supply deal during the term of Andal Ampatuan Sr. na final noong 2018. Sentensyahan siya sa ika-14 na taong anibersaryo ng Maguindanao Massacre at paggitil ng buhay ng mga maghahain ng Certificate of Candidacy ng oposisyong kandidato na nagde-threaten sa seat of power ng mga Ampatuan sa Maguindanao. Here are some global/international news for your convenience. Miss Nicaragua wins Miss Universe 2023. The Miss Universe competition was held this week and has crowned the 23-year-old Shanice Palacios from Nicaragua for the Miss Universe 2023 held in El Salvador after previously hosting the pageant way back in 1975. Miss Nicaragua triumphed against 83 other beauty queens competing for the crown of the Filipino-American Miss Universe 2022 Queen R. Bonnie Gabriel of the United States. This is Nicaragua's first ever Miss Universe win since joining way back in 1955. The particular edition, the 72nd of the Miss Universe pageant, is a huge deal for inclusivity as it was under a new Thai JKN global group management which lacks regulations and stripped some barriers of entry in the name of inclusivity and wokeness, which resulted into 2 trans women contestants vying for the crown. MX Portugal, Marina Machete, and MX Netherlands, Ricky Colle. The organizers have laxed the regulations for the pregnant, married, and mothers, which was previously excluded in the international pageant. The top 10 included Miss Universe 2023 winner from Nicaragua, Shanice Palacios, first runner-up from Thailand, Miss Antonia Porcil, second runner-up from Australia, Moraya Wilson, top 5 Miss Camila Avila from Colombia, and Miss Carla Guilfu from Puerto Rico, which, by the way, is a U.S. territory, while the top 10 included the representatives from El Salvador, Peru, Philippines, Spain, and Venezuela. Special awards also include Miss Congeniality won by Miss Spain Athenia Perez and Spirit of the Carnival Award won by Miss Philippines Michelle D. At yan ang pagtatapos ng News I Deem Worthy Recap Weekly Edition for roughly the 4th week of November 2023. Mag-suggest some more topics and or corrections to the balitas if you feel I misrepresented them in any way. Salamat sa mga panonood mga kabayang avoid me. Like, subscribe, and follow my links and socials on avoid Joseph that will be linked down below. Sa susunod muli, paalam. Psh!